without any further ado, let's get started with today's event. Um, let's see. So, first of all, for those that haven't done business with Luxury Cruise Connections, you should know that we are a luxury cruise agency. We're focused on luxury ocean and river cruises around the world. Our guests are from all over the world, but mainly US and Canada. We've been doing this for a long, long time. We're part of Virtuoso Network, which is the largest luxury travel consortium in the world. And we, I guess, have been growing at a very, very, very fast speed within the luxury cruise industry because we've realized that there was a huge gap in the marketplace for an agency with a lot of structure, but that can also offer very good personalized level of service. And really, they can focus on that market and enhance the experience and create very strong relationships with suppliers within the luxury cruise sector. And that's what we've specialized in. And the way we do business, as opposed to some of the other agencies out there, is we do want to create relationships. So we're not a call center. We want to make sure that every single one of the guests that are doing business with us are creating a relationship with a specific advisor, somebody that can get to become an expert in you. We like to say that our advisors are very knowledgeable about the world, and they're very knowledgeable about the ships and the cruise lines and everything. But the whole point is for them to be experts in you, understand you, know what you like, what you don't like, and become advisors of what we consider to be the most precious assets in our life, which is our free time. So that's who we are. That's what we do. We've been doing this for a long, long time. Actually, we are not supposed to be advertising this, but we just won America's Best Cruise Agency by World Cruise Awards for the third year in a row. So they're gonna announce this publicly on October 15th, I believe. But I think it's okay for me to share that with you guys right now. And that's it about us. Now let's talk about American Queen, because that's really what you guys are here for. So let's, first of all, about the relationship, right? So American Queen is a Virtuoso supplier as well. You guys are a Virtuoso cruise line, I guess. Thank you, Warren. And you guys are a Virtuoso cruise line as well. And I guess that is, I'm not going to say the reason why we ended up doing business together, but it definitely is a great validator and something that enhances our relationship. Can Cindy, Sarah, can you guys share a little bit about our relationship and how we work together and so forth?
Yeah, of course. So I'm the regional manager for the whole state of Florida, and of course I get the privilege and honor to work with you all. So with that being said, our partnership is very important. Whenever you all need anything, if ever we have promotions that are running, we're constantly communicating back and forth, and we're trying to offer the best product for all of your guests and clients out there. So that's really our partnership. Denise and I communicate all the time. That's really it, creating a healthy partnership and communicating and making sure that we're offering the best consumer promotions.
And maybe if I could tag on to Sarah's comments, I think, Carlos, you really opened up in a great way. Our guests have a very strong affinity with our crew, with each one of our vessels, because they have a different vibe and a feeling. So it's important that we do provide that information, because there's so many choices in the industry, to your team, because you know your clients, you know your guests. And we always talk about our trade partners and our travel advisors as matchmakers. You understand what your guests are looking for, why are they traveling, where have they been before, what's their budget. There's so much on the guest side to understand. And then to Sarah's point, our job is to help give the information about our products so that you can then make the best matches, because we believe there's a cruise for everyone. And if you understand both sides of the equation, then people will be cruisers forever. So I think it really is that matchmaking, and we'd love to be part of that proposition.
Agreed. The whole idea here is we like to do business with cruise lines that think the same way we think, and that share the same values that we have. Because at the end of the day, the only way for us to grow is to put our clients on cruise lines that we know they're going to enjoy. They're going to want to refer their friends. They want to rebook on board, ideally, right? Or just rebook in general. And so that's why we're here today. We don't just do this with any supplier. So we really do this with suppliers that we know deliver a level of service that matches the level of experience that we preach at Luxury Cruise Connection. So, but let's talk about where you guys come from, a little bit about your legacy, the brand. Right before everybody started joining in, we were talking about how you guys got acquired in 2019 and so forth. Can you tell us a little bit about the story of American Queen and your change of name, or I guess slight change of name? Go for it.
Sarah, you want to start?
Sure, yeah. So before we became the American Queen, she was actually named the Delta Queen. She soon then afterwards took the name and making it her own of the American Queen there. And she started sailing for us back in 2012. So we have always been known for that authentic red paddle wheeler in the back of the boat. And the Queen is actually the largest steam operated vessel in the US today, which we take huge pride in. We currently operate in the rivers, but we've also expanded over to the Great Lakes and then also the Alaska region as well on our newest expedition boat, which is the Ocean Victory.
And we tagged when we were acquired, we recognized that we were more than rivers, we were voyages. So American Queen is our iconic and largest, and as Sarah said, the oldest and largest steam-powered paddle wheel boat. Very, very proud of her. She's absolutely beautiful. But we're traveling beyond just the Queen. We have a fleet that we'll talk about, and we're traveling beyond just rivers. So we did add to our name, and it became American Queen Voyages.
So you guys have been sailing for how long again?
We started sailing back in 2012.
In 2012. And then the acquisition of, it was a private equity firm, right? That acquired you guys in 2019. That happened, that made you guys stronger, I guess, right on time for the pandemic, right?
Yes, timing is everything, isn't it? We, our founder, John Wagner, who had started the company, he'd actually started Hornblower, and then he ultimately sold American Queen to Hornblower and part of the private equity investors. And at the time, his vision was to get on the Great Lakes, and it was to start operating in Alaska. So that's when we acquired some new tonnage. We had 2 ships that are on the Great Lakes, and then we have the expedition boat for 6 months. So it runs from April through October in Alaska. I will say, Carlos, though, it is interesting as the world has evolved. We came out of the pandemic. We were one of the first, cruising was hit very hard, but we were one of the first to come back. It's been interesting for us. Every decision you make, you learn from. And I will say one of the things that we learned when we came back out and we had purchased the ocean boats, the vessels that we bought, the desire was to have them operate for 12 months. They were to be in the Great Lakes for the cooler months, the summer, and we would transition them down to the southern part of the North America, Yucatan, Mexico. What we have learned is the boats that we purchased really weren't the best product for that seasonality. And we did just recently announce that we are going to divest ourselves of those 2 boats. They traveled slow. So that meant so much of the itinerary was really cruising, not visiting the different destinations. And because the boats themselves didn't have outside a pool and outside restaurants, they weren't necessarily the right vessels for that southern part of the trip. So we did announce recently we're going to take kind of a back to the future. We're going to take a step back and really focus on what we're known for, and that is river cruising and be the absolute very best on the rivers. We do sail across 7 different rivers, and we're happy to talk a little bit about our fleet. about the rivers that we travel on.
We're going to talk about the fleet toward the end, so we'll circle back to all of that conversation a little later. I do have a video you guys sent me that I want to show our audience. So if you allow me for just 1 second, I'm going to share my screen and then share this video because I think it illustrates a little bit of, or it gives our conversation a little bit more of a, I guess, understanding. Give me 1 second. Let me do this, share.
And I think what we're going to be looking at is actually the Queen. So that original paddle boat, steam powered.
Okay, can you guys see a black screen right now?
You do?
This is where it started. This is where my heart is. This is where it started. This is where I'll be. This is all to me. This is where it started. This is where it started. This is where it started. This is all to me.
Nice. It's, you know, that's the beginning of your company, and I guess the proudest, what you're most proud of within American Queen. You know, when I was introduced to the brand, I realized how little people knew about such a luxury product in the North American rivers, and so I want to. Let's start with that. Like, where do you guys sell? Like, what rivers do you guys sell through? And tell us a little bit about your destinations.
Sarah, do you want to take it?
Of course. So for the Queen specifically, we mainly focus her on the New Orleans to Memphis, Memphis back down to New Orleans. She also offers some round trip itineraries to New Orleans as well. However, there is a couple itineraries sprinkled throughout the year where we do a kind of a mighty Mississippi with her, and those are 15-day voyages that takes her from Minneapolis all the way down to New Orleans as well. So just basically combining more than just one voyage for that, but that's mainly where she sails within.
So
Okay.
then supplementing her, we have, so we've talked a little bit about the Mississippi, but we're on the Columbia, Snake River with our American Empress. We have the Tennessee, the Ohio, the Cumberland, the Illinois. So there's a broad range. Sarah's comments are correct. We focus the Queen pretty much. She's the icon of the Mississippi, but we do have, thank you, Carlos, a very wide. So if you look at the United States, we cover everything from the Pacific Northwest all the way across to the Midwest and to the eastern side of the country.
And so these are basically the rivers where you're going to be focusing your itineraries moving forward, right? Can you see my mouse?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so this Great Lakes area is what you're basically divesting from.
At this point, it is. My crystal ball might say that we'll be back in the future, but for the short term, we're absolutely going to focus on the rivers where we had our start and continue to invest in that product.
What about Alaska?
So Alaska is a 6-month charter, and we are just about wrapping up our year for that. We've been there 2 years. We are evaluating it. What we've found is many of the other cruise lines, Alaska this year has not been as popular as some of the other voyages. The cost, I think, the airfare costs, things like that have been pretty extensive. And there are, if you go a little further north, there are quite a few organizations that are offering the full expedition experience. So we're still evaluating Alaska. It's still the first couple of years, so we're looking at that.
So as of right now, are itineraries available for 24 in Alaska?
She is published for 24, yes.
Okay. But Okay, so hard question here. Are there doubts about you sailing in 24 in Alaska?
It is up for evaluation. It absolutely is.
So I guess as of right now, your focus is going to be the rivers. That's what we're going to focus on, and that's what we want to do. I do want to make sure that our audience feels very much comfortable understanding that rivers is what American Queen has done for years and very successfully. We have put many of our clients on those ships, and I truly cannot believe what a great feedback they come back with. And that's, to me, and to be completely honest, Mississippi River for me, it hasn't been in my, top in my bucket list. Although that's, it definitely is for many people, especially those that are that want to learn more about American heritage, particularly, right, and the history of North America. But every time a guest goes on board one of the ships, the expectations are blown away, and I love that, right? Because that's what it's all about, is under promising and over delivering. And you guys have been doing that successfully for many years, so I feel fully confident that that's going to continue to be the case. And let's talk about a little bit about your target market. The Mississippi River hasn't been on my bucket list directly necessarily, but it has been on many. So who is your market? Who is your typical guest?
Our typical guest is someone who's well-traveled. They've done the big cruise ships. They've done European river or cruises over there. And this is something different, a different product for them right in their own backyard, convenient for them to get to travel-wise, but also learning the US history, again, in our own backyard there. Typically, the age range is going to be around the 65 and plus, but we are expanding that. We're wanting to target some voyages that we can accommodate multi-gen families on. We also like to target the single traveler as well, because we do get many single travelers, and we have events created on board specifically for a single traveler.
And
when you look at the activities, I think, Carlos, you said it really well. You don't automatically think about cruising on the Mississippi and cruising in North America, but the people that typically are drawn to us initially are those that are interested in seeping themselves in the history. They love the fact that everything we do, from the excursions to our river Lorians that are experts about the area. In fact, I was on a cruise in February, and there was a couple there celebrating their honeymoon, very young. So I was a little surprised, and I asked them, although we met upstairs in the engine room lounge bar, and the new husband was playing the harmonica with our band. So I said, you're kind of not my typical guest. What drew you to American Queen? And he and his wife both said, we are history buffs. And you were the one that was absolutely authentic in your focus. The other piece to that is really the focus on the quality. When you look at the finishings, and I think you could pick it up in the video, the solid, rich woods, the beautiful finishes, again, that commitment to the history, not only of the rivers, but the areas that we sail in. So it's that combination. But the excursions and the activities that we've added are everything from fishing to ATVs, to hiking, to biking. So there are things to do for everyone of all age groups. And I was on another cruise earlier, I think it was probably in May, and there were 4 generations. So we asked them, who made the decision? Because there was grandma, mom, the children, and then some little ones. And they said it was actually the daughters. They were both pregnant. There was a daughter and a daughter-in-law. They were both pregnant. They wanted something they felt safe and comfortable, but had enough activity for their husbands. They could go out on the ATVs. They could do tomahawk throwing. They could do fishing. Grandmas could enjoy kind of the scenic sitting outside on the beautiful sun porch. So I asked them, is there enough for you all to do? And the cutest answer was, one day all the girls wanted to go on our own different excursions, and the guys were sitting in the lovely, what is traditionally kind of the bridge room. Well, they were playing poker. They had their Cheetos and their beers. So they made it their own. And I think that's what really made me feel good, is there's flexibility for regardless what member of the family's on board.
Yeah, and you guys are spending a lot of time on port anyway, right?
Yes, yes.
You guys,
And-
you're sleeping on board the vessel, but at the end of the day, most of the, time that you're awake, I guess, you're near a port. So there's, I can imagine how active or passive it can be. Just cater it to whatever you want.
Included in the price of the cruise is really everything. So the first night hotel, all of your beverages are included throughout the day. So if you choose to be on the vessel, not to take our hop on, hop off tour, which is included, or a premium tour, there are activities on the boat. Again, we've talked about river Lorians, and then you have food and beverage throughout the day. So there's just a tremendous amount of options to fill your time.
That's a good segue to what my next question was going to be, which is what is typically included on one of your voyages. You mentioned the hop on, hop off. What other sort of excursions? Let's talk about that pre-night hotel. Let's talk about everything that is included, because obviously we want everybody to know what to expect when they pay a deposit on an American Queen voyage.
Sarah, you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. So with the hotel night that's included pre-cruise, every guest that's sailing on our river boats does get that included with their voyage. They have to get themselves from the airport to the hotel, but once they're finally at the hotel, they fall under our umbrella and we take care of them the rest of the time. The next morning, they're going to eat breakfast. They're going to check in at one of the lounges and receive all their onboarding documents and room keys. Our team comes and they collect all the luggage from the hotel and they actually deliver it to the boat inside everyone's stateroom, so the guests don't have to worry about lugging all that to the boat. And then we provide the transfer from the hotel straight to the boat in one of our deluxe luxury motor coaches. So that's the pre-night hotel. We are also offering unlimited guided tours. So depending on the size of the boat, there's a couple motor coaches, again, deluxe, huge motor coaches, AC, bathroom in the back, and they follow us from start to finish. Every single port, they are there. And when the guests get off the boat, we actually have a dedicated map and we have stops along that port so that the guests are able to get off and experience the entire port. And they can actually customize their day. They don't have to stop at every stop, but if they want to, they can. They also have time to go back to the boat and then back out again. So we have the unlimited guided tours, unlimited beverages. So that includes coffees, your juice bars, sodas, waters, wine, spirits, anything that your heart desires. We offer unlimited beverages. And then, of course, the open bars and lounges throughout each of our river vessels. And then what, in my opinion, one of the most important items is food. Everyone loves a good meal. And so we have our culinary ambassador. Her name is Regina Charbonneau, and she's curated the menus that the river boats sail within. So if you're sailing on the Queen through the NOLA to Memphis, you're going to have gumbo. You're going to have fried green tomatoes. That's what she catered it to. And she really condensed it and refined it. And the plates are beautiful and it tastes just as good. We have unlimited Wi-Fi. We have included port taxes, gratuities, and all the fees. That is included. There's no hidden costs whatsoever. We didn't want to do that to our guests out there. And then, as Cindy mentioned, we have our entertainment every single night, whether that's our Broadway shows or the River Lorians talking or local fly-on acts that we partner with within those local communities that we sail within.
So let's talk a little bit about that entertainment piece. I mean, obviously, everything is included. Basically, there's very little you need money for when it comes to this itineraries, but entertainment is I guess an expectation, right? That's everybody expects for that to be included. But can you talk a little bit more about what type of entertainment can they find on board, and why will they enjoy it?
Yeah. Do you want to talk on that one, Cindy?
Let me, because it's just so near and dear to my heart, before I joined American Queen Voyages, I was the CEO for the Global Cruise Line Industry Association and had the opportunity to sail across blue water lines, all the river lines, European as well as North American. And I didn't know what to expect. Carlos, kind of as you said, I didn't know what to expect about American Queen. And I was so surprised. We have more public space than any other river cruise line. So if you're on the Queen, we have the piano bar outside the dining room. Then we also have this beautiful full theater where we do Broadway show productions. We do 5-piece band. We have plus the piano, dancers, singers, entertainers. We have comedians. We have Mark Twain on. We have, talent that are impersonators. Then if you go up to the engine lounge, that's the rockin' place up till midnight, where members from the band will come up, again, playing jazz, blues, rock and roll, a lot of different genres. So there's a tremendous variety, and it changes every day. The other thing that we do is when we'll do a pop-up barbecue. And when we decide that we're going to have a barbecue because it's a beautiful day outside, we bring music to that. So for us, music is such an important part of every single thing we do that our entertainment really does rival that of the ocean voyages. There's not another river cruise that offers the type of entertainment that we have.
Good to know. Good to know. All right. That's very, very interesting. And obviously, aside from all of that fun entertainment, there's also a lot of enrichment and education going on. Do you care to share a little bit on that?
Well, we bring, Sarah alluded to, we bring local talent on board, but we also, to her point again, Regina Charbonneau, our ambassador, comes on and does cooking demonstrations. We just had a bourbon cruise where we had Dickie Brennan, the iconic Dickie Brennan from, restaurateur, bourbon extraordinaire, came on with Regina, what we call a Regina and Friends cruise. So we had bourbon tastings. We were doing some mixology fun things. The menus were tailored around bourbon. The pairings with dinner, everything that we did was interactive. And then we had a bourbon expert to talk about the history and the difference between, which I had to learn, the difference between whiskey, bourbon, where it comes from, what's truly authentic. So we have fun with our education. Certainly we have, great educational programs about the rivers that we sail on, but also as we do culinary demonstrations, kind of talking about the roots of that food, where it came from, but teaching people to bake biscuits, fresh made, these beautiful, amazing, slow cooked pork sliders, lots of different things that, again, are very much consistent with the rivers that we're sailing on.
Makes a lot of sense. I'm going to take a 2-second break to launch another poll. I want to know from those that are in our audience today, how many of you have done business with Luxury Cruise Connections in the past? And I'll share those results also in a second while we continue on with our conversation. So let's see, so far about 50% of you, but let's see what the final result is. All right, back to American Queen. So aside from those included amenities and excursions and everything else, there are some other available experiences, right? Can you share a little bit more about what other available experiences are, I guess, at an optional cost?
Yeah.
Do you want to touch on the premium tours?
Yeah.
About
That
the
would be
premium
the
tours.
additional experiences there for us. So every voyage, again, not only do we have the complimentary guided tours, but we also offer the premium shore excursions. Now that would be an additional cost, but it just takes that experience to the next level when you're cruising with us. We have a premium tour in Natchez, and it's a guided ATV tour, but that also includes some archery and fishing. So just really amazing activities throughout. We have tours that go to museums. We have swamp tours that are guided by the captains of those little swamp vessels, and those are like 8 hours. So we do have a wide variety of premium tours to offer.
And we're introducing, as we look, particularly with the Pacific Northwest, we're looking to launch what we're calling Salmon Fest. So many of our guests come from California, and you may have heard that they just put new restrictions on fishing for salmon, but yet many of our guests are very interested in that. So one of our experiential cruises that will be coming up is a private kind of chartered fishing opportunity. You come back, and then with the chef, take your catch, prepare it for your table, pair it with the wines, things like that. So there are very, very unique, one-of-a-kind, curated experiences that are part of these excursions. The other thing, you know, most of our competition will do the hop on, hop off as their main attraction. We have these very, again, deep experiences. So you're not just sitting and riding on a bus all day. One that I'm going to be taking, I'm actually going to be going on a cruise over Thanksgiving. And when we get to New Orleans, it's kind of the part of New Orleans and the history of New Orleans that people don't know. So it goes very, very far back to the roots in the French Quarter, the cooking, and we're going to be going to these very small restaurants and I don't know if they're called bars. I think they're more honky tonks. They really go back in history, family owned, very small, still operating, blues clubs, things like that you won't see on any other tours.
And, you know, that brings me to, you know, another question that I wanted to make sure that we touched on. So, you know, putting aside, I guess, the most obvious one of your differentiators, which is the fact that your ships are very, you know, just the details of your ship really resemble the history of the region that we are, you know, sailing through. Aside from that, right, what makes you guys different from anybody else?
I'm going to take that one because
I couldn't have asked this question 5 years ago because you were the only ones.
right. And I can answer that now because I read so many of our guest surveys, and I want to brag just a little bit. I can't help it. I took over in October and we had a very, very high guest satisfaction score. However, since then it's gone up 35 points, which is almost unheard of. And it really is a combination of three things. One is staying true to the brand. As you said, Carlos, every one of our vessels are different. People get to select the vessel that matches their personality. The Queen is very historical. It's like a step back in time, a beautiful antebellum mansion. The Countess is very contemporary. We have girlfriends groups that love to be on the Countess. They feel like they're upscale and they really, really enjoy that. The Empress out in the Pacific Northwest is a little more, it's smaller, it's more intimate, and it's a little bit, I don't know, organic is the right word, but it's so natural, very much like that part of the country. The culinary has been continued to be invested in, but I have to tell you the difference. It is the crew. When I first got on board, and again, had no idea what to expect, I saw our guests coming on board, hugging our crew, talking about where were they in their time off? Did they take that vacation? Did they go to Paris? These are people that get involved in each other's lives in such an authentic way. You just don't find that, but they are people that have lived along these rivers. They know the value that we bring, and they love their guests.
Your crew is mainly American?
Our crew is American. We are an American cruise line. So yes, I will say on our expedition boat and on our ocean, the Great Lakes, those are international. They're very, very professional. All of the other boats, though, are American staffed.
Okay. All right. And then I want to jump real quick into, obviously, you have a suite level.
Yes.
Those suites are going to have other exclusive amenities, I guess. What are the amenities for those suite guests?
The greatest thing about the suites, they come with a butler, a dedicated butler, 24 hours a day, wherever you are. They find out your needs, your wants, your desires. You can have charcuterie trays brought to you in the afternoon to sit out on your veranda with a nice little cocktail or a cup of tea or some lemonade. I will tell you my great experience when I first got on the boat. I was in a rush. I had to go host a group. Adam, who's my butler, said, "Miss Cindy, can I unpack for you?" I said, "Ooh, never had anybody unpack for me." He unpacked. He also noticed that some of my clothes were wrinkled. He took them and had them steamed for me. So while you're there, you can have your clothes laundered. You can have them steamed, pressed. Again, throughout the day, things are delivered to your room as you request them. It is an at your service, and there's no extra charge for that if you're in the suites.
I want to share a picture of a suite real quick because I think it's interesting to highlight just the decor, but also look at the outdoor space.
Yes. You can entertain. You can have you could have an entire family reunion come out and enjoy your veranda.
It's
I will
insane.
mention, so this picture here is of the Queen. It's the owner suite, and there's only 2 owner suites on the Queen, and the entire front of the boat, that entire deck is sectioned off, and no other guests are able to walk up there. That is solely for the owner suites.
Very, very cool. All right. So my next question is on your pre and post stays. A lot of people want to, sometimes, match their cruise with a couple of days pre or post. Do you offer that?
Sarah?
Yep, we do offer it. It's not going to be in every single embarkation port, but it will cover most of the embarkation port. So again, if they want to come a few days earlier or stay a few days after, we do offer that. We offer tours within those city stay packages as well. And just some of the cities to name, there's some in Memphis and Nashville and New Orleans and the Louisiana area. But yes, we do offer those.
And we're looking at expanding. If we look at, again, the Pacific Northwest, such an amazing destination to be outside, we're looking at adding trains and other options so that you can do pre to extend or post. So not just that destination, but other areas that you can get to within the day or two that you're there.
Sense. And you spoke about, let's go back to something you spoke about just a few minutes ago, which is the Salmon Fest. You have a series of experiential voyages coming for 2024. I mean, I thought it was pretty interesting that you guys have Christmas markets cruises in this area of the world. Want to talk about it?
Oh my gosh, this is my favorite thing this year. We had the opportunity to go to Natchez, and if you have not ever been to Natchez, Mississippi, it is the home of Hallmark. And when we think about your holiday shows, this is where these are filmed. It is the most cozy little town. And we started talking to them because they have a Christmas planning committee. So together we brought something to life that has not been done before, and those are the Christmas markets. We've all been to Europe. We've seen the markets. These are right here in Mississippi. They are being built. I wish we had a picture to show you. Maybe we could send one later. They are being built for us for this season, and they start Friday after Thanksgiving. I'm staying in Natchez an extra night on my cruise so that I can actually see the Christmas markets. But we are working with all the destinations along the river, having bonfires where they're available and adding food and beverage. So you get off the vessel, you're welcomed in the old-fashioned manner. We're also engaging with our communities, and that we're bringing families that we're adopting and celebrating the holidays with them on the vessels. We're having people come on to do Christmas caroling, making cookies. So it really is engaging. It's much, much more than shopping. It's the entire experience. So whether you're in Vicksburg, Nottoway, Natchez, every one of these destinations has an amazing Christmas celebration. And because of when we're coming into their town, they're pretty exclusive to us and to our guests.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
And aside from Christmas markets, you have New Year's, you have baseball legends,
Yes,
you have
we do.
Salmon Fest you talked about, bourbon
Cruise.
cruises.
Yes, the mighty Mississippi.
I think that's pretty cool. That'll certainly get people to come back over and over and over and just experience it. Same ship, might be same ship, but just a very different experience.
Different experience. We're also getting ready. We're in the laboratory right now to have a double Kentucky Derby cruise in 2025. So one is kind of racing to the Derby. So as they get there, it'll be the tail end of their voyage, and the other one will begin the voyage. And we do an all-American steamboat race that is a tradition associated with the Derby. So if you are on that cruise, you have the opportunity to purchase package tickets to actually participate in the Derby, and that'll be available on both. I had the opportunity to be part of the steamboat race this year, and I don't know of anything that happens like this anywhere in America, because we have our vessel, and then in Louisville, they have 2 other paddle wheelers, one that comes from Cincinnati, the local Bells. They're not real paddle wheelers, but that's okay. We have a little race down the river, and it's just a day of a lot of fun.
Oh, cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
And so we've been talking a lot about your fleet, but we haven't really shown our guests much about it. So I do have some pictures I want to share.
Nice.
Let's start off with the very well known. Where's my share button? Hold on a second. Sorry. Very well known. Oops. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second, please. Share screen. American Queen.
There
So,
she is.
go for it. Take it away.
So American Queen, the Queen is our largest. She holds 400 guests and has about 200 different staterooms, a variety of suites as well as standard rooms. But you can see the beautiful verandas that are available. And as Sarah mentioned, you can kind of see the front of the vessel where the owner suites are. The other fun fact, I thought it was fun, because we're on the river and the waters go up and down, our smokestacks actually lay down, and our pilot house and some of our different vessels actually will come down to make sure that we can go under bridges as the water's up. So it's really interesting, and the other option that you can have is a tour of the pilot house to actually go up into the pilot house and help drive the boat.
Very cool. This is how she looks inside.
There's our dining room, the JM white dining room, beautiful, formal, very tall ceilings. You see the grand saloon, that's where the entertainment, the shows are done every evening. And the Mark Twain Gallery is when I was talking earlier about the gentlemen, they're in there playing their cards. This is the room that they went into and they were having their beer and their Cheetos. But quite often people are in there with bridge, or I guess the new thing is Mexican, I can't remember the name of the game, but it's like a game of dominoes, which is really, really popular. The other thing, Carlos, that you saw perhaps on the last slide, we do activities on the top of the boat. So whether it is stretching, walking around, and what our crew has been doing recently is bringing the cornhole games up to the top, and they're doing the crew versus the guest up in some different games. We also got some social media, some pictures last week where they were doing Rockin' the River. So our captain, who happens to sing, was up there with their guest and they did an impromptu karaoke, just a fun afternoon because it was a beautiful day on the river.
Very cool. And then your second most famous ship, the American Countess.
Sarah, you want to talk about the Countess?
Yeah, the Countess is a beautiful vessel there. It is smaller than the Queen, about half the size of the Queen, with only 4 decks. It houses just over 200 guests and about 100 staterooms on board. But when you go on to the Countess, I mean, she is a lot bigger than what she looks. She is absolutely beautiful. This grand lobby area, that's on deck 2, and that houses basically everything that you would need to do on board the boat. It's very easy access, very clean, contemporary, beautiful lines throughout the ship, beautiful decorations. And what I want to note is on this boat and the Queen, there's more than just one dining area. Yes, we have our beautiful dining rooms, but we also have the front porch area, which the Countess also has, and it's a front porch where you can also eat inside or out. And then we have the river grill in the back of the vessels as well, and you can choose whichever dining space that you want to be in. But the Countess, again, is one of our most beautiful ships if you're looking for more of that contemporary feel on board.
What you can't see easily in this picture, but I want to comment on 2 things. One, the beautiful kind of curved staircase in the back, but the entire wall on the right is floor to ceiling window. So people love, I think, again, to Sarah's point, to gather here, watch the river go by, meet as groups, plan their excursions for the next few days. I think the most warming and rewarding thing that I've seen is people come on the vessels as strangers. They first start talking about, do they want to go on excursions together? And by the end of the cruise, you see them in this room planning their next cruises together, which is a lot of fun.
Of course. And then next up, we have American Empress.
Yeah, the American Empress. I mean, she's basically like a mini queen. She has that same feel inside. She's going to offer that 19th century feel. She is smaller. She's a bit smaller than the Countess there. But then if you look inside her, if you want to switch the next slide, again, it very much mimics what the Queen is all about. It takes you back in time. Every room there is going to have an open veranda access. So it's kind of like a neighborhood feel on your balcony. So you get to know your neighbors really well. And then the camaraderie on this ship is truly incredible.
Is the American, is the Queen a newer ship, or they're all basically kind of same age?
No, the Queen is actually our oldest. She is the oldest. She's about 30 years old, I believe. Now, Brianna's going to fact check me here in a minute. I may have to go to my lifeline. But the Queen is definitely our oldest. And actually, the Duchess and the Countess are our newest. So it's the Queen, the Empress, and then the Countess, and I think the Duchess.
Is there like a difference in terms of luxury?
1995. So Sarah says 1995. I was off a little bit on my years.
Is there a difference in terms of level of luxury between the ships, or
No.
is the expectation the same all throughout?
That's actually a brilliant question, Carlos. I'm so happy you asked it. While we talk about a different vibe, I commented on your sign, they hopefully all deliver an amazing vibe. The vibes are different, but the standard of service, the quality of the food, the quality of the furniture, the fixtures, they're all going to be a similar price point. What would be different would be the length of the cruise, which suites or rooms you stay in, but they're all a very similar quality.
Okay.
The linens are consistent, the bedding, the towels, everything is consistent across the fleet.
Okay. Okay. All right. Fair enough. And is there, I mean, there's throughout today's event, I mean, we've talked about all the reasons why to sail with American Queen. Is there anything else you want to add? Is there anything else that you want to add, you want to share with our audience in terms of like a reason why they should sail with American Queen?
I'll give you my thought and I'll let Sarah close out. What I have experienced, again, because I've had the opportunity to see quite a few lines, and there are cruises for everyone and there are great lines. We are unique in that every vessel is different, and you have the opportunity to get to know a crew, to be very personally engaged, not only with the destination. One of the things that we've started doing, we stop along the way and we have the small businesses bring fresh donuts on board, and we do that to support some of the small businesses. Same thing with our flowers. They come from the local areas. Our produce, we stop mid-cruise and we're getting things from the farmers market. So you can feel good about being on an American cruise line. It's safe, it's affordable, it's luxurious. You've got an amazing crew, but you're also interacting with your local community. So for me, it's the difference between a Marriott is a great hotel chain, and you will probably have a great vacation. However, if you're going to a unique, one-of-a-kind boutique hotel, you may remember that a little differently, and that's the way I like to describe our fleet.
That makes a lot of sense. Sarah, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that Cindy mentioned. Something that I would add personally is I have two little girls, and I would love for them to experience it when they're a little bit older. When I go and sail and I go to these manors and the plantations and I learn about the history of what really happened there. I mean, I'm still learning every single day when I go and sail. And so to offer these sort of experiences, and then for my kids to experience that themselves and really immerse themselves in the history, that's why I would cruise.
Perfect. And last but not least, we always do this, and today's event is not going to be any different. But for those that are watching the event, whether it is live or recorded, know that there is a special little something that we're giving out for those that are attending for the next 2 weeks. If you make an American Queen Voyages a reservation through Luxury Cruise Connections, let me share it real quick. You're gonna get $100 onboard credit per person. Just obviously let us know that you've attended the event, and we'll confirm, of course, to book when you book. And it's $100 onboard credit per person, valid until the 30th of the month. It's going to be valid on basically any American Queen voyage, regardless of the date of travel. Just got to make the reservation by September 30th. And this is where we go into our Q&A part of our event. I do have some questions that have been sent to me via the chat. First of all, I want to share one last, oh, sorry, I never shared the results of my previous poll. That was, have you done business with Luxury Cruise Connections? 43% of you guys said yes. Thank you, all of you guys that have done business with us in the past. We appreciate your loyalty. And those that haven't, you're very welcome to be part of our family, and just let us know you're interested in getting to know one of our advisors, and we'll be happy to match you with somebody that we know is going to take incredible care of you and get you booked on your next American Queen voyage for sure, and take advantage of this offer. And I had one more poll that I'm going to shoot while I ask some of these questions, which is, have you ever been on a river cruise? So regardless of the destination, have you ever been on a river cruise in general? So thank you for answering that. Going back to the questions in the chat, Denise put on the chat for all of you guys to see our Facebook, our Instagram. Guys, if you haven't followed us on Facebook or on Instagram, please do so. There's a lot of very cool information we post there, not only inspirational images and videos and stuff like that, and trying to get you excited on taking our cruise, of course, but we also put a lot of very special exclusive promotions that we get. So make sure that you're following us on those channels so that you can be aware of this. Also, Denise posted our phone number and my email address. Feel free to reach out at any point in time. If you have questions, anything that you want to know about, just let us know. Shoot an email over to carlos@luxurycruiseconnections.com, and we'll get back to you with answers. And I have Mark was asking me, what is the best time to go on the American Queen in order to avoid the heat and humidity?
I would say the best times tend to be your spring and your fall. Right now is absolutely spectacular. You're seeing the colors change on the river. Spring, your water's a little bit higher, so it's a little faster cruise. When you get to the fall, the water's a little lower. The temperature on both is beautiful. One's a little faster than the other. However, I will say, we've talked an awful lot about the Queen. The Queen and the Countess, as we said, both sail the Mississippi, but the Queen or the Countess also sails on the Ohio. One of the most beautiful rivers you will sail on is the Ohio. And that is never too hot. It's always a nice, fast moving water, and the waters are never too high and never too low. So I don't want to ignore that. You could go from Louisville to Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. It is an amazing, beautiful, you see the confluence of two rivers. So that is something we didn't talk a lot about today, but love to give you a little more information about that as well.
Yeah, I mean, also, just so you know, if there's any other piece of information, Cindy or Sarah, that you want us to share with the audience, we are going to send a follow-up email with the recording of today's event to everybody that registered. You guys, for those that attended today, you guys can rewatch it, or you can share it also with your friends and family. Anybody that watches this is going to be eligible for the $100 or more credit, but most importantly, you're going to have an opportunity to learn about what American Queen has to offer. So thank you. And the other question, okay, so Alan, how are you? Thank you for joining us today. Alan is one of our guests. And Alan actually lives in a community where he particularly has organized a little bit of a travel club. And they do a lot of trips together and everything, and we've done some cool stuff together. And he was wondering if you guys would be open to joining, to going and to his community and doing a live presentation to, we can go together, of course, and make that happen.
Absolutely. Love to.
So the reason why I asked that, because even though he sent that to me privately, the reason why I brought that up publicly is because if anybody else in today's event happens to live in a community where you feel there's other people that might be interested in learning about American Queen, let us know, and we'll be happy to coordinate with them, and we'll fly up to wherever you are, and host an event for you and your neighbors, and do something where we can customize an event, and bring some drinks and food and whatever, and make something nice happen, and get you guys excited and your neighbors excited about going on a river cruise through the Mississippi. And this is where and Alan, yes, we'll follow up with you, and we'll put something together for 2024 for sure. Count on that, okay? This is where I want to open up the opportunity for anybody that is in our event to kind of share with us a little bit about what, anything else you want to know, what do you think about today's event, to tell us what else you want to learn about. Maybe we can also send some additional information via email. Mark, what do you think? I'd love for you to tell me your experience. If you don't mind unmuting yourself, and I'll spotlight you.
Please send the information about the cruises through the internet first. I'm not on Facebook, and I'm not on
Okay.
the other. I'm only on emails and direct. I'm too old. I'm 70 years old. It's too much.
It's okay.
And a lot of people are leaving those sites, so nothing wrong with that.
So send the information through the email.
Yes, we will.
Site.
We will.
Okay.
We always do, and we'll continue to do so. Anything else? What did you think about American Queen? Had you you hadn't sailed with them before, had you?
No, I've only been on big cruises.
What did you think? Is this
Ocean
something...
cruises. This looks fantastic. I'm a history buff myself. Was a history major.
Oh my goodness.
So, but I've never been down south, and I'd like that, and I'd like the one that does Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, because I'm also an animal freak, and I'd love to go to the Cincinnati Zoo because it's supposedly the best zoo in the country.
And if you let us know those things, our shore excursion team can work with you and do a custom tour. When I'm going, the timing didn't work for when they had normal cruises, normal excursions, and they've actually contacted one of the providers, and they're accommodating me on my time because I'm with 2 other couples. So there's a lot of flexibility on that, Mark.
Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, Mark, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us as well. Anybody else wants to share? I see Karen Smith. How are you, Karen? Do you mind if I unmute you for a second?
Now that should be fine.
There you go.
Okay. I'm fine. I've done a lot of ocean cruising, and I'm interested just to see what the opportunities are there.
I'm sorry, you got caught up there for a second. Can you repeat that question one more time?
I don't have a question. I just said that I've done a lot of ocean cruises. I've been a lot of places around the world and loved it, but river cruising has always been in the back of my mind.
What did you think about the American Queen voyages?
Looks enticing.
Cool. Very nice. Thank you for joining us, by the way. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
What about the Radies? Where did you leave Amy? Amy left the screen. What happened?
Amy, Carlos is asking about you.
It's okay. What did you think?
I'm going to ask because the Mississippi route goes to Louisville for the you mentioned the Louisville Downs, and I was thinking my son and his fiance just moved to Louisville. So it would be nice if we could set something up and include Louisville in some way in which they can participate. So so that may be a subject of we happen to be going to that area this week. So, it sounds, we'll be in touch.
That's awesome. And you can always invite people on the boats. So if they're living locally and you're stopping for a day, back to Carlos' point, we can be in port for a day and sometimes overnight. You can invite them over to have drinks and kind of visit with you on the boat.
Okay, great. All right.
Thank you. And thank you, by the way, for joining us today. I think we've had, we've shared a lot. We had a lot of very good information shared today with our audience, and I'm very much appreciative of the relationship, the partnership, and you guys spending this time to, really educate our guests and our audience on what American Queen has to offer. We very much look forward to putting many more of our guests on board your ships. Like I said, we love it because it's easy. It's an easy job for us, and obviously it creates so much word of mouth. Just normally means we're going to get more new clients from it. We're very much appreciative of this relationship. And I want to thank you for participating in today's event. Anything else you guys want to share with the audience before we go?
Well, we have a saying that I usually close out with, and I hope it's true for some of the folks that are with us. And that is, first of all, thank you. And we look forward to seeing you around the boat.
There you go.
Yeah, everyone.
Nice presentation.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending.
Thank you, everybody.
Coming.
Thank
And
you.
we'll see you in the next one.
All right,
Mark,
take care.
Mark, I'll get in touch with you.
Bye-bye.